This is a tutorial for this ring. These are your basic tools. And you need a stone. I'm using quartz. You need 3 pieces of 18 gauge, 1 piece of 20 gauge. Now, using whatever tool that you need to figure out the size and shape of your stone, you're going to shape the wire to match the top portion of your stone, whatever the shape may be. You need to check and make sure that the shape is right and it sits on the inside edge of your stone. Once you have everything's good, flip these sides up to create a tail. Just like this. Confirm again that it's still the same and it's the right shape and it sits on the inside edge. You're going to flatten the shape part of this, just the head that goes over the stone. If you don't have a block and a hammer, don't worry, it will still work. It just adds a little bit more strength. If you've straighten it out if you need to. Make sure it hasn't changed the shape too much and confirm that it sits on the inside edge. Now you're going to get yourself a piece of half round. Just a little piece, you don't need much. You're going to loop it around to lock it in on the one side of the face, just once. Make sure it's tight. Flatten it up. Just like that. Wrap it around a couple of times. You're going to wrap it around for as much as the depth of your stone. Now, because I'm using a facet, I don't need much. I just need a little bit. But if your stone is a flat back cabochon, you need to go the entirety of the height of your stone. Make sure it's all neat and tidy. Then you can chop this little tail off. Make sure it's on the inside, away from poking into people's skin. Putting your pliers on the outer edge of the top of the circle, because you want a full circle when you bend it. You're going to bend it at a 90-degree angle. And then you're going to go to the back side and you're going to put your pliers on the end of where the wrapping ends. And bend that in the same direction. So this is what I call the sandwich setting. So you've got the holder and space between the two to hold your stone. Now take these and open them up. They don't need much, like a 30-degree angle. Don't go past the edge of the face part. You just need enough for the point of the facet. Now, if you're using a flat back capuchon, you don't need to open it up as much as this. But you do need to open it up to give it extra strength and stability. Wrap this around a couple of times and bringing it upwards. So like in a candy cane type wrap. And just make sure it's all tight. There's no... And then using your pliers, you're going to go halfway up that. And you're going to bend it back towards the center. And you're going to do it to the other side. And make sure they're even. So now you have a little pocket for the point of the stone. And then just flatten those out so they both go straight out. Wrap this around once, and when you come around the back side, you're going to bring that half round through the center of the two of them and pull it tight so that it's facing forward. Now at this point I pull it apart a little bit so that I can flatten all the wires and make sure everything's even and tight. And you're going to thread this through the center of the face. Like that. Because it's going to wrap her up and over and hold those two together once you've got your stone in. And this can be difficult depending on your stone. You might drop it a couple times. You get your stone into that spot and you give it a pinch and close that sandwich together. Gently pulling and pressing. And don't lock it in yet, but you're going to put that wire back through the center of those two wires. Now mine was a little bit off center, so I have to take some time and adjust it so that the edges of the stone don't peek out from the sides. Just make sure that the entire stone is hidden underneath that edge that you made. Take your time. But be gentle when you're doing it. You don't want to shatter your stone. Just like that. You wrap this around a couple of times. And then we're done with this, so you can snap that off. Make sure everything's nice and tight. Locked in. And then you can put that aside. Grabbing your 3 pieces of 18 gauge. This is for your band. And you can use any technique that you want to make your band. You can weave it, you could braid it, you could do whatever you want. I'm just going to do a simple wraparound. Leave a tail on this side. And that's for future use. I'm not going to make you sit and watch me do all this. It's going to get sped up. As you're going along, make sure you're pressing down on the weave, making sure it's nice and neat and tight, and, or, you know, just make it look pretty. However you're doing it. Now when you're measuring your band, you need to make sure that whatever the length of the ring size that you're going for, you need to make an adjustment to include the width of your stone. So do not forget that. Leave a tail at this end as well. Make sure this part is centered so you have equal amounts of extra wire on either end of the band. Make sure you press everything down so it's nice and solid. And before you go any further, confirm your measurements. Now my stone is 1 centimeter, so I have to make sure that my size that I'm measuring for includes that 1 centimeter for the stone. Since we're good to go, we'll continue on. Now you're going to take one wire on one side and one wire on the same side and fold them over, so you have 1 and 1. And then on the other side, you're going to fold the rest of the wires. So 2 and 2. So you have 2 on one side and 1 on the other. And then you're going to get whatever tool you're going to use to bend this band. I'm using my ring mandrel. You can use whatever. And fold those over. Now when you're doing this, make sure that that spot where the stone's going to go is pressed down nicely on the mandrel, so it's not sticking up in a weird way. Make sure you press them down really good right there. Right there. And these little tails, you need to make sure that they're on the outside of the edges on both sides. Now on the side that you have just 2, you're going to take your setting and you're going to insert it into the ring like so. Now you have 4 on either side. Now using one of the tails, you're going to lock that setting into place. And you can do it any way you like. I prefer just doing one wrap around each wire. Sorry about the cricket sounds, I just had to close the door. You're just going to wrap it around once, move on to the next wire, wrap it around once, move to the next wire. Don't pull too tight. You don't want to squish them or make them deformed. Just loosely connecting them. Making sure that that stone stays in the center, and that's just locked in like that. Now on the other side, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to go around the one loop, and then around the second one. And then at this point, you're going to do a little bit different. You're going to thread this end through the fold on the end of the setting to hold it so it doesn't flop down. Just like that. Then you're going to continue wrapping around the other two wires to lock everything in place. And then just add some extra stability by wrapping it down and around to the other side and tucking it through and pulling it tight. And when you go to cut it off, make sure you cut it off on the top so you can tuck it in on the top so it's not poking anybody's skin. Repeat on the other side. And again, just cut it off, tack it down on the top. You don't want anybody being poked by your rings. And now you have a big spider. So now working in an X formation on the two middle pieces, you're going to loop them around so that it sits on top of the setting just a little bit. And then I always work in an X formation, so I do mirrored from one side to the other side. So that way the stone doesn't get skewed while you're doing the wraps. So once you think they're about even, tuck under, bring it around the front, holding it in place on the top, and then cut off any excess and tuck that tiny little bit down. just like that. I'll do the same to the other side. I pulled too tight, so I had to fix it. So just remember, don't pull too tight. And if you do, it's fixable. Again, tuck on the top. Make sure it's nice and tight. And it's still covering the top of the setting. Now, working on the other side, do it in the opposite directions, inside wires. Again, try and make these look as even as possible, but if they're a little bit crooked, it's okay because that's why it's homemade. Just makes it even special. One of a kind. But again, make sure they're even. Cut off any excess. And then click and press down. Repeat on the other side. I just noticed I had a loose little wire, so I cut that off. Just adjust it as you go, making sure everything's nice and tight. And tuck. And pinch it away. Now your stone is secure, and you can do with whatever you want with the 4 remaining wires as decorations. Make sure they're nice and even and secured over top of that edge of the setting. There. Don't press too hard because you don't want to shatter your stone. Just make sure everything's nice and even. At this point, what your imagination is the limit of what you can do here. You can bring them both down to the side like this and go all the way down the bands and weave them together like this. I did it for this one. Or you can leave them like that and then just tuck them around underneath. Me, I'm just going to do a simple one. Just going to tuck this one down, bring it around just like I did with the support ones. Cut it and tuck it. Now I am going to bring it down around the other side, and I'm not going to cut it at this point. I'm going to use it to cover all the ends as best I can, and then I'm going to bring it down and do a little curl, and that way there's no sharp edges for the most part on this ring. But if you did stop at the quick twist and tuck, make sure you make sure those edges aren't sharp. Use a nail file or a Dremel or whatever. Otherwise, you can just do a little curlicue like this. Make sure everything's nice and neat and tucked, and there you go. Do the same on the other side. Always cut on the top. And take your time adjusting these and making sure everything's nice and neat and where you want them. And again, just like the other side, I'm going to do a little curlicue. I covered those ends as best I could. There. Nice. You're going to hammer the band of the ring to make sure it's straight and even, and it'll help harden up the band so it doesn't miss shape. Just like that. And that is perfect for the size that I was looking for. Now you can oxidize it, polish it, or leave it as it is. It's your choice. And you can use any shaped stone for this design. Round, ovals, teardrops, cabochons, any design will work, any shape. Thanks for watching.